This is Joaquin Lippincott, CEO of Toad, and today I'm here with another AWS ISV interview with Per Lindgren of Net Insight, CTO and co-founder. Per, welcome to you.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about this. It's going to be fun.
So quick, just kind of an introduction to Net Insight. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Absolutely. Net Insight been in the media industry for over 20 years. So really leaders in the production workflow, from ingesting live events, big sports events, like everything from the Olympics, the FIFA, the big national football, hockey leagues, bringing the camera feeds and the data from those arenas back into the production workflows. And then again, distributing that out typically to the playouts for further distribution out to the consumers.
Perfect. And how did that transfer into, when did you guys get involved in the AWS cloud space?
Actually, that started 5-6 years ago when we realized for live streaming had really big issues when it came to live sports and live content. And every time you look at OTT content today, you are typically half a minute behind the normal broadcast feeds.
Oh, wow.
And the promise of any IP streaming and video has always been the interactivity and enhanced user experience. So we start building the next generation really CDN technology for low latency streaming the way out to the consumers. So while we traditionally have been just from the cameras to the playouts, we actually now took the full responsibility end-to-end, glass to glass. Actually, we sold that part, the B2C streaming, low latency streaming to Amazon Video Prime this January. But we're keeping.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was very good. We had a really good partnership with Amazon, and they were a lead customer for this. For their they're buying more and more rights, live rights, also live content into the Amazon Video Prime. But what we do now is more taking that architecture that we built for the B2C streaming for more B2B streaming. So we're doing everything for more enterprise. But also what we realized when we did this is really to create the next generation user experience and viewing experience. We call it sports fan experience, was that you wanted that interactivity. But what allowed also when we came with low latency is that really the consumer can become their own producers. So we started doing things like car cameras for Formula One and NASCAR, and the viewer could really choose their favorite driver. And we were adding notifications and metadata for that driver. And also if there was something happening further down, if you have your favorite driver in the top 3, but you were also following some other drivers and there was a duel or an overtake further down, you got a notification, you could click onto that driver and you got into that camera feed. But then we realized, and also for football or soccer or any of these, that you can also follow your favorite like player cams. Or in golf, that you could follow many different balls at the same time, and you got notifications when there was a birdie putt or someone was on the tee and were ready to tee out. But this required that also the production and the multicam production was there. And problem with live production today, it's one of the biggest content waste in the that we have, because simply in many of those big events you might have 20-40 cameras, but you actually only get one produced feed to the viewers.
Right.
And what we want to do is enable that actually what we can get much more content out to the viewers, and the whole chain not just that final part was there for low latency, but also the whole production workflow is there to create that new experience, whether it's for metadata or multi-camera alignments or synchronization, the whole flow.
Wow.
That was a
I
long
have, yeah, no, I have actually a ton of questions. First one, when you talk about the advantage of cloud versus latency, was it a processing power or like distance to the edge question? What was the advantage there?
I think the problem with OTT today is the segmentation, and the big problem lies in the inherently in the technology with the HLS and even in Dash segments, and that you do typically buffer up to 3 segments in the players, but also in the edge caches and the CDNs. So they are built around that it's a store and forward technology, which makes it really reliable, but really not optimized for latency. So for like any bot content, it doesn't matter. But for live content, of course, it becomes a problem. Both that you and I, even if we started the game at the same time, after buffering and after that we are losing packets, the mechanisms are that we are drifting in time. So after the first half, you might be 10 seconds behind, and I might be 45 seconds behind. And
oh, wow.
So interactivity or social interaction can really be destroyed in that. So that was
right. Hey, did you see that goal? No. I didn't see that goal.
Exactly.
Still waiting for the catch up. Yeah, no, I can imagine, especially in sports or anything where live, and that is really what entertainment companies are looking for in many cases, is how do you drive those eyeballs to that event, make the recording less valuable. It sounds like you've really been able to take advantage of the decrease in cost for the equipment. I'm curious, when did you really see that coming into the professional grade? So the ability to have like player cams or car cams, what year was that really became available? And maybe it wasn't the equipment that was the blocker.
It was a combination, I would say. I said that the technology wasn't really there to enable it. A lot of the technology was there, but the workflow, end-to-end workflow, wasn't there. And it's still not there all the time. So individual technology components been there for quite some time, but the end-to-end solutions haven't been there. So what we're now doing is doing our part more on the production and the primary distribution, and we let the big ones do the final distribution there. But also a lot of things has accelerated, I think, with what's happening right now, that we're moving more and more into the cloud, and the cloud, the prices in the cloud has come down, and allows for this even for the big sports events. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense for it to be, economically viable. And of course, now that Net Insight is here, now the infrastructure is available. So I'm sure companies will want to get in touch with you. You already answered one of my questions, which was how does your company fit within the media and entertainment ecosystem? But I'm curious, are there other cloud technologies, any other cloud technologies other than yours that you've read about or you've heard about that you find especially interesting?
I think more and more of the whole media ecosystem is moving into the cloud. And of course, I mean, we've been very much involved in the more tier one type of sports and live events, but are through OTT and what's happening on the distribution side, also getting into the more tier 2 and tier 3 sports, and we also, which is interesting, I think, is we see a unification of sports and broadcast and enterprise, so the production workflows we've seen in the more traditional broadcast and sports, as the professional segments, is moving now also into enterprise, and I think especially now during COVID pandemic, I think the enterprise, both for the big town hall meetings internally, but also for the big launches and for the big marketing campaigns, the production environment are becoming very similar to the broadcast environments, and they are definitely unifying into a more cloud-based workflow. and a more distributed remote workflow for that.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like the cloud really is enabling a lot of those workflows and processes that may have been media and entertainment before, but now, maybe it's education. There are all kinds of industries that are finding themselves there, and as a result of COVID. So that ties into the next question, which is, what do you think the impact of the coronavirus will be on either the media and entertainment industry or perhaps industry as a whole over the next 12 months?
No, I definitely, I mean, we've been talking about cloud-based workflows and as I said, we built a full CDN in the cloud really with our OTT streaming. So with COVID, I think just a lot of these trends has been accelerated, and there's also the need to be much more agile and flexible and having more remote and distributed workflows. So people, while before it was okay to send the cameramen and production team out to the events or to the enterprise facility for doing this gig, now people you can't really do that anymore. So people are literally sitting at home doing their productions, and even talent or you bring in like commentaries that actually sitting. We did a thing right now that we have big Nordic rights holder here, big broadcaster. They had commentator that usually commentated Italian football. He was living in Spain, and he usually just took the flight home for the Saturday and Thursday night football events. But of course now he couldn't fly anymore, and just from a climate perspective, it doesn't make sense. So we just hooked him up over internet and through the cloud, and he could sit at home doing the commentaries. We sent out a high quality feed to him, sitting at his home PC doing the commentary. We brought back the audio feed, and we synchronized that into the professional distribution. So those kind of things are possible now with just much more agile, flexible workflows. And as I said, all the traditional production workflows, whether it's Avid or Grass Valley or Simply Live, GravView, they are now moving into the cloud, so you can find those workflows in the cloud now. And I think it's interesting also to see, as I said, unification there with enterprise. So also the distribution, where traditionally been more broadcast or OTT, you now also very often have a social distribution into the social media, whether it's Facebook Live or Twitter or Amazon. Yeah, definitely it allows for much more flexibility and agility, and it's just been accelerated, I think, by COVID.
Yeah. Well, and that was two shout outs to a couple other ISVs that we're hoping to interview as well. So, Grass Valley, GravView, hope you're listening. We'll be talking soon. And okay, so final question, take us out 3 years into the future. Get out your crystal ball, and what do you think the impact of the cloud will be on business over the next 3 years?
I think it will have a fundamental impact. Overall, I think we are moving into, of course, much more software-based, more virtualized production or development environments, and of course, also more and more SaaS type of models. And just by being in the cloud and in cloud environments, you have all those resources at your fingertips to create those end-to-end solutions. And I think really, as I said, the technology has been there for quite some time, and now we need to tie it together. And the cloud is a great environment to do that, and to find new solutions and find that new fan experience. And that's why I think it's important that we also work together as partners to create both from a technology perspective, tie it together into end-to-end solutions, but also from an orchestration point of view. I think the control part of it will become even more important. And of course, that tied into the monetization capabilities, because I'm sure also the cloud allows for new monetization capabilities. So that's going to be exciting to watch the next coming years.
Can't forget monetization. Well, Per, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you or Net Insight, what would the best way for that to be?
No, I think definitely, as we've been around in the industry for 20 years, you find us on our website, www.netinsight.net, and or just send me an email, per.lindgren@netinsight.net.
Great. Well, thank you so much, really. And if there's any other things that you want to talk about, I hope that we get a chance to talk after reInvent, which is coming up. And I hope that you have a great winter season. And thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a great initiative, and we really need to tie ourselves together into creating this new cloud media ecosystem. Thank you.